What's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new episode. Coach Joe here with Heartletics.com, and this one is definitely going to be an episode that you've probably been waiting for, and I'm really excited to dive into this one because we're literally going to be doing such a deep dive into strength training, going over the importance, going over a special, let's just say, checklist for you, your body type, and your goals. But not only that, just really kind of shaving off the fat and giving you just that sense of muscle, meaning, hey, what matters the most when it comes to training your body properly? Before we get started, make sure that you have a piece of paper and a pen and you're taking down some notes, because at the end of the day, this is going to be very simple, very easy for you to understand also. I know that there's a lot of information out there, but once again, my job is just to make it very simple, just to make it very easy for you to understand how to create sustainable habits for your overall lifestyle. Here's an overview of what we're going to be learning today. For starters, the importance of strength training and how that really helps out with your metabolism. Second, some of the biggest mistakes that most people make. And then third, we're going to be diving into a great little exercise. And this is why, once again, I told you, hey, have a piece of paper, have a pen, take out some notes, because I want to give you a checklist for success, a checklist that you can use to ensure that you're on the right path to having success at reaching your health and fitness goals. And then we're going to be diving into progressive overload and then the RPE scale. For starters, why is this important? Why are we mentioning strength training, and why is this a foundation when it comes to some of the habits that you should be focusing on your health and fitness journey? Well, if you remember way back when I mentioned and talked about metabolism, this little chart here is called the TDEE scale, right? This is the total daily energy expenditure, okay? And then as we break this down, right, your BMR is your basal metabolic rate, and that's the biggest bang for your buck in terms of just how many calories are being used, in terms of just burning through, excess energy. And then you have NEAT, which stands for non-exercise activity thermogenesis, and then TEF, right? TEF is the thermic effect of food. So your overall macros, your proteins, your carbs, your fats. And at the very top, there's EAT, right? And that's for exercise activity, okay? So it's like, how many calories are you burning when you're training? And remember, you're not burning a lot of calories, okay? So I always like to say this, all right? This is just the icing on the cake that really should help you when it comes to shifting your mindset, okay? Just keep this in mind. The workouts, it's the sprinkles on the cake, okay? The mindset, the overall habits, the nutrition, that's the meat and the potatoes, right? So it's just like, keep in mind, you can't out-train a bad diet. So that's why, once again, like the workouts, hey, you're not burning lots of calories. Don't think in mind like, oh, I can just burn off all this excess, food that I'm consuming. No, like, remember, the nutrition is the biggest bang for your buck, right? But with that being said, because you might have just heard that and said, well, then why do I need to work out? Why can't I focus on nutrition? Why can't I just focus on, the overall habits? Why do I need to work out? Because the EAT, right, the strength training, really helps you when it comes to increasing your BMR, your basal metabolic rate. And that's why it's so important that we're focusing on doing strength training. Because if you take a look right here, right, there's 20% for your muscles compared to fat, right, body fat, 3%. So the strength training, that's what's going to help your metabolism. That's what's going to help you put on the muscle, right? That's what's going to help you in terms of just overall, like, helping you get to where you're trying to get to. It's very valuable, right? It's very important that you're making sure that you're focusing on the strength training. And I'm going to make sure that in today's presentation, you know exactly what that means. And surely, right, making sure you're doing things the proper way. Because I don't want you to make any mistakes. I don't want you to mess up. And here, for example, is some of the mistakes that we often see where guys focus so much on, hey, what is the perfect workout split? They're so focused on, okay, hey, I read this in bodybuilding.com, or I saw this on this YouTube video, and they're constantly changing things up and they're looking for the best workout split. Or, hey, what is the specific, rep and set ranges, that I should be focusing on, right? There's hypertrophy, there's strength, there's explosive, right? There's all these different, ranges. Hey, what's the best one for me? Or how much should I, rest in between sets? What type of supplements should I take? How long should my workouts be? How many exercises, per workout? What muscles to train each workout? Should I drink a protein shake right after a workout, right? Because if you don't get one in within 30 minutes, like, oh my gosh, the whole entire workout's, is over, right? It's a complete wash, right? How long should I rest before training a muscle again? Here's the thing, right? This is why people are so confused. This right here is why the health and fitness industry sometimes does a lot more harm than good, because there's so much information, it kind of stops people from actually taking that first initial step. Okay. I'm going to share with you a success checklist, right? It's going to make your life very easy, whether you work out at home, right? With or without equipment, whether you work out in the gym, regardless, right? If you focus on doing this checklist, you're going to be focusing on what's called training your muscles for strength, right? And what happens when you train your muscles for strength? They grow. Meaning, hey, guess what? You are going to be putting on muscle at the same time increasing your metabolism, because you're improving, right? You're repairing your BMR, your basal metabolic rate. So keep in mind, like, that's why it's important, but don't get it complicated. There's so many different things out there that you hear, right? Upper body, lower body splits, push-pull legs, all this crazy just nonsense, okay? Keep in mind, this checklist right here that I'm going to share with you next, this is going to be your formula for having success when it comes to strength training. When it comes to training your body properly, follow through this checklist. And it's 5 simple boxes that you need to make sure that you fill. That's it. And let's break them down, because I want you to see once again that this is easy. This is how we make things at Heartletics. Very easy, and, to digest and understand this information, and just to, once again, shave and cut off all the fat, and just give you that lean source of muscle, right? Because that's obviously why we're here. So it's like, let's cut out all the nonsense that could be, confusing you or making you not even, want to show up, It's like, no, like, let's make this very simple for you, okay? 5 check boxes. The first one, right? What works best for your schedule? And think in terms of just the days and times. That's it, right? And so what do I mean by that? Well, how many days a week can you commit to working out? And how long, right, per workout works best for you? That's it. You are going to know your schedule better than anybody else, right? Now, our job as coaches at Heartletics is to make sure that, hey, we're kind of taking out all the guesswork and working with our members to making sure that, hey, the workout's all personalized for them, for, right, their time, for their schedule, everything like that. But what's going to help you out is just, once again, making sure that what is something that you can commit to. Because you need to prioritize your health. You need to prioritize, hey, I want to make a change, so I need to put it on the schedule. If I put it on the schedule, right, if I put it in and pencil it in my calendar, I'm going to commit to doing it. I'm going to stick with it, right? So what can you commit to? And don't think in terms of, oh man, if I work out 7 days a week, like, I'm going to get the best results, so I'm going to commit to that. No. Remember, I said in here specifically, what works best for your schedule? Your schedule. Not best results, your schedule. Meaning, hey, your occupation, your family life, everything like that, to where you can commit to doing something, and then guess what? Next week, you can do it again. And then the following week, do it again. And then the following week, do it again. And that's called being consistent with, so we don't fall off the wagon. Okay, so keep that in mind. That's the first checkbox. The second one, right, is to make sure that you're training each muscle group, right, at least 2 times per week. Okay? Once again, don't overcomplicate this. If you figure out what your schedule is, right? Let's say you can work out 4 times a week. It's like, okay, so I can go to the gym, right, and work out 4 times a week. Awesome, right? Maybe on Monday I do upper body, on Tuesday I do lower body, right? And then maybe on, I rest on Wednesday, and maybe on Thursday I do upper body again, and Friday I do lower body. Okay, great. Because what did I just do there? Well, Monday and Thursday, upper body. Tuesday, Friday, lower body. So I just train each muscle group 2 times per week. Focus on doing that, right? At least 2 times per week, all right? I would say between 2 to 3 is a good sweet spot. Obviously, full body workouts, people could do that for, 3, 4, 5, 6 times a week. I think that's a little bit overkill in my opinion, but at the end of the day, you are really going to figure out what's the formula that works best for you in your lifestyle and obviously your body type. You got to figure out how can you recover properly and, once again, what is working best for you as you progress. But just keep it simple. Focus on your schedule, then focus on, okay, how can I train each muscle group, right, in a format that works best for me, where I can recover properly, show up to the gym, right, I'm ready to go, I'm not sore, beat up, anything like that, and I'm training each muscle group at least 2 times per week. Next is to focus on progressive overload, which we will go over a deep dive in coming up here next. And then right after that, it's the right intensity for your workouts. And that's going to be another deep dive that we're going to do here in a little bit in terms of the RPE scale. But then the last, right, is it sustainable? Like that's really it. And that's why we're here today probably. Most importantly is kind of figuring out how to train our bodies, how to eat properly, how to have the right mindset, how to have the right habits when it comes to sustainability for our overall lifestyle. So that's why this checklist is so important. And it does not matter if you work out at home, and it doesn't matter if you have past and current injuries, right? And it doesn't matter if you, let's say, work out in a gym. It doesn't matter at all. Obviously, if you're somebody that is, let's say, has a knee injury, guess what? Like, wait until it's healed and then go back to training your legs. Don't try to risk it for the biscuit and, no, it's just like, don't worry about training your legs. Wait until your body heals, right? It's consistency is key, longevity here. This is a marathon, run not a sprint. Train your upper body, right? Work on your mindset, work on your nutrition in terms of, the injury as you're, recovering. And then just go back to, once again, something that works best for you. I can't stress that enough. It has to be sustainable for your overall lifestyle. And once you can see in here and have just a complete different mindset shift that, hey, guess what? The workout's all the icing on the cake. So it's like, I can show up to the gym and I'm not putting a lot of pressure on my plate. In fact, I show up to the gym not even really to train, my muscles, quote unquote. And do I focus on this success formula? Yes, absolutely. 100%. I always focus on this. But guess what? My mindset when I show up to the gym is, hey, how can I become mentally stronger? How can I put more intensity? How can I be more focused? How can I be more disciplined? So I'm showing up to the gym to work my mindset as well. I'm showing up to the gym to push myself. I'm showing up to the gym to step outside my comfort zone and go for those heavy workouts. And remember, it's not like me pushing for these heavy PRs and, being consistent with my workouts is because I'm focused on a physical outcome of my body. No, once again, it's about the mindset. It's about me showing up because I'm disciplined. It's about me showing up to make sure that, hey, I'm stepping outside my comfort zone once again. And that's a great mental habit that we go over at Heartletics. I'm showing up to make sure that, once again, I'm following through with what I preach, right? Actions speak louder than words. It's like I have family that sees me. I have coaches. I have, members. I got to make sure, like, I can't be slacking. No. So it's like you have to have the right mindset, and for starters, don't focus on training a muscle to look a certain way to get an outcome. Train your body, right, at the same time while you're training your mindset. Meaning, hey, I'm going to be pushing these reps, right, and really just digging down deep, right, getting into that wolf mindset, so to speak, that Spartan mindset where, I'm going to dig down, I'm going to push and push and push and push. Because when you show with that mindset, it becomes really fun. And at the same time, you're going to see massive amount of just success and growth a lot faster. Okay, so here is progressive overload. And you can see that there's a lot of different methods. Okay, and that's why at Heartletics, we keep it simple, right? You know what KISS stands for? KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. When I tell our members to focus on progressive overload, it could be anything, right? It does not have to be every single one. It does not have to be, doing this and doing this. Just focus on, once again, every time you're showing up to the gym or showing up for your workout session at home, you have the right mindset. You have the right intensity, but you're also focusing on progressing, okay? So for starters, if you're going to the gym, if you're lifting heavier, right, week over week and workout over workout, progressing, lifting more weights, that's a huge form there of progressive overload that we recommend, right? That's great because you're focusing on the strength, right? You're focusing on pushing, right? And when you focus on utilizing your muscles and pushing for the strength, you're also, pushing your mindset and training that as well. At certain points, you will hit a threshold where you can't necessarily increase the weights, right? You don't see people bench pressing, right, on average 1,000 pounds just because they got started off, at 15 years old and every week they focused on progressive overload. No, like at certain points, you're going to hit a threshold, you're going to hit a stop, right? That's when you can focus on, okay, hey, maybe I can focus on more reps. So if maybe I was bench pressing and I got stuck at 200 pounds and I only got 5 reps and I can't increase the weight anymore, then who knows, right? Maybe the next time I just try to focus on maybe getting 6 reps. And then the following week, 7 reps. And then the following week, let's say 8 reps. And it's like, all right, great, cool. So I'm not progressing in terms of increasing the weights, but I am in terms of the volume, in terms of more reps. Same thing applies to more sets as well. So keep that in mind, okay? Range of motion, that's a great one, right? Because in terms of, let's say, if you're squatting and you have all this weight on your back, let's say in the very beginning stages, you're squatting and you're just going down a little bit. But maybe, who knows, the following week, if you don't increase on the weights, you're not increasing on the reps, you're not increasing on the sets, maybe you're focusing more so on the range of motion where same weight, but guess what? You're going down a little bit lower on those squats. So you can see in here there's multiple different ways. Same thing applies to, once again, the mind-muscle connection with just like, once again, engaging the muscles differently. That could be squeezing them, right? That could be, touching your muscles, right? That right there is, once again, it's getting your muscles involved differently, The time in terms of, working out more or less. Body weight, for example, increasing, doing more reps, maybe putting, some extra resistance on. There's so many different things, drop sets, supersets, but once again, keep it simple, as long as you're focusing on progressive overload, training each muscle group at least 2 times per week, and something, right, on this list, something, right, where you're just, it's just, you're progressing more so. That's it. Maybe one week it's more volume, maybe the next week it's better form, maybe the following week it's more, more weight. It doesn't matter, right? You're focusing on doing something where you're progressing. That's what truly matters. Now, this graphic mainly applies to somebody that's going to the gym, because there's a mass variety of different, machines, different equipment that they could be using, dumbbells, etc. And it all kind of depends on, let's just say, your fitness goals. So just keep this in mind that just, once again, progressive overload, as long as you're focusing on that, you're perfectly fine. But don't get too focused on the sets, the reps, the fitness goals, the rest periods, right? The intensity. Don't worry about this too much. You want to know why? Because what we typically find out that works the best for most people is anywhere from 6 reps to 12 reps. Okay. So just keep that in mind. Keep that very simple. We like to say that's that hypertrophy zone, right? 6 to 12 reps. And between, I would say, honestly, 3 to 5 sets. I know on this graphic it says 3 to, 6 sets, but we like to say, hey, 3 to about 5 sets. And that's it. Now, I want to also say personally for myself, okay? Because now you're maybe wondering, okay, this is all making sense. This is very, easily broken down. I can understand how to do all this. But how many, exercises should I be doing, let's say, per workout? And I want to just say this, that massively amounts to how much time that you have, in terms of if it's a 30-minute workout or a 45-minute workout, etc. But I like to just say, for personal reference for myself, sometimes I might have, let's say, a workout that I'm doing 6 exercises or 7 exercises or, 8 exercises that's on there. But as I show up, maybe, who knows, I had a bad night's sleep. Maybe I just don't feel like it. I'm not in the zone. Or who knows, maybe I'm doing a certain exercise where as I'm doing it, I'm like, man, I feel like it's a certain chest exercise. I feel more engagement. I feel it differently. Who knows, I might just stick on that machine and do multiple sets more so, right? And, change up the workouts. Once again, this is why I'm telling you this, is because it really doesn't matter. And so when it comes to the sets and when it comes to the reps, don't worry so much about it, okay? Just focus on, once again, you're training that muscle group, okay, at least 2 times per week. You're focusing on progressive overload, and then obviously you're focusing on the right amount of intensity that we're going to go over next. So this right here is the RPE scale, and keep it simple. It's just a scale based upon your intensity when you're doing those, exercises. So it's a scale from 1 to 10, and pretty much 1 being the, not really much showing much effort, right? It's very light, and 10 being like max effort. You really want to show up to the gym, in my opinion, with a really good sweet spot. And remember, this is all going to go based upon how you feel too. Some days you might wake up, more amped up, ready to go, compared to maybe on some days where, maybe just had a bad night's sleep or whatever the case may be. But I would say a really good sweet spot is between 6 and 8 between your RPE scale. So what does that mean? I would say, hey, you're showing up, you're training each muscle group, you're in the right zone when it comes to how can I progress, but at the same time, I'm not killing myself. Okay, I'm not max effort every single set, every single rep. You don't need that, all right? Because you're going to burn yourself out. And typically when you're doing things to that extreme, guess what? That's where you're more prone to injuring yourself. We don't want that for anybody. So focus between, once again, 6 to 8. That is a really good sweet zone. Now, I will say this. If, let's say, hey, one of your goals is, getting to, let's say, a squat, a deadlift, or a bench press, PR, then obviously you're training for something differently, right? You're going to be programmed and have different workouts, right, for a completely different style. And yes, you will be focusing on the max effort, right? Because you're focusing on just, 1 or 2 reps, as opposed to something, as we mentioned before, where, hey, the 6 to about, 12 rep range typically works out the best for our members. Here's just a quick recap on what we learned today. For starters, why strength training is important. And remember, long story short, it speeds up your metabolism. It's way more important to have muscle on your body rather than body fat. And obviously, if we already have enough body fat on us, the strength training mixed in with the proper nutrients, right? Because obviously you can't just out-train a bad diet. But when you're doing this together, that's when you're getting the most bang for your buck. We then went over the biggest mistakes in terms of what kind of stops people and, really kind of puts a damper in terms of them shooting themselves in the foot, honestly, because they get so lost in the sauce. There's like so many questions, too many things out there, too many different workout splits, and doing this and doing this and doing this. It complicates things. And I don't want that to happen for you. I don't want you to be complicated. And once again, that's why I made the checklist for success. If you just follow through with that 5 simple checklist, right? I promise you this, you're going to be on the pathway to reaching your health and fitness goals. And then once again, we dove into just progressive overload. There's plenty of different ways to focus on progressing each muscle group, right? Week over week. But at the same time, don't focus on every single one you have to be perfect on. No, mix and match. Some weeks you want to focus on this. Other weeks you want to focus on maybe more reps, whatever the case may be. And then lastly, the RPE scale. Show up with the right amount of intensity. Don't just show up and go through the motions and you're barely even breaking a sweat. There's no effort at all. Like, you want to show up once again as, okay, hey, how can I get out of my comfort zone, push my body, push these limits, try to lift heavier weights, so that way, guess what? I'm training my mindset as well, stepping outside my comfort zone, right? Like, that's the right amount of intensity. And I would always say between, on the RPE scale, between 6 and 8, that's a really good sweet spot. So hopefully you guys got some value from today's episode. And remember, consistency is key. At the end of the day, don't overcomplicate this at all. Just follow through that checklist. Make sure that it's something that is, fun, enjoyable, right? Like, you don't want to do workouts that you hate doing. Like, no. Make sure that it's flexible, it's sustainable, you can stick with long term, and obviously it's something where you can progress with, because that's what's going to make it challenging. That's what's going to make it rewarding for yourself. So with that being said, this has been Coach Joe with the Heartletics Podcast. And until next time, peace out, Girl Scouts.